Hello and welcome to another episode of the Six and Out podcast powered by Sports Snooze Blitz. I'm Bilal, joined by Dejan and with special guest RB, who will be with us to talk everything about the third test of the Ashes. Well, we've come to the point after 11 days of cricket. Australia have retained the Ashes 3-0 after three tests. Many people probably would have seen this coming. Dejan, what are your thoughts?
Really? Do you think many people would have seen this coming? I think
I
a
think
lot of
I think
people.
after one test probably. But
I was. The thing is, I said before, I actually genuinely thought England were going to win, but just the way that both teams were looking going into the series. But dearie me, England have been so poor, like so bad, with especially with the bat. Oh my days, it's been, it's just been like alarmingly bad from England in like every aspect compared to Australia.
yeah, so in terms of the test as well, obviously this test in particular in Adelaide, it's probably the closest England have pushed Australia, but it wasn't
Yeah.
enough. Um, we had drama before ball had even bowled. Usman Khawaja, a late injury replacement for Steve Smith, batting out of position at number four, obviously with Jake Weatherald and Travis Head, the opening batters. Khawaja, he's just inevitable, isn't he?
Yeah, when you think that it's time for him to go into retirement, and when you think that Cricket Australia have put him into retirement, he comes out and scores in 18 the first innings, and 14 the second innings, and now his
Yeah.
Test cricket has just gotten maybe 3 more years of life in it now. So,
Yeah.
I think he did a great job. He batted
He,
wonderfully.
he did it a
Props to
few
him.
years. He did it a few years ago, didn't it? Where like he was dropped out of the team for
Yeah, he
about
scored twin
about 2 years,
hundreds.
and then he scored
Yeah,
twin hundreds in the Test match, and then he
Yeah,
went straight back to opening. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like I
oh,
say,
fair play.
he's a very streaky player. He's a very sort of unorthodox in a way, but he gets it done, and then he's
Yeah,
just about may potentially kept his spot in the team for the last two tests. But we'll get onto that. But I think for England, I think the theme for them has just been missed opportunities. When it
yeah,
comes to the pressure moments, England with their backs to the wall, knowing that they had to get a result. They started excellently. Jofra Archer, that spell in that first innings on what was a flat deck in Adelaide compared to the bouncy pitches in Perth and Brisbane. I mean, he, they had Australia 94 for four at one point, but it was that partnership between Usman Khawaja and Alex Carey that sort of almost took the game away straight away for the hosts on day one. How much of a missed opportunity was that for England, Dejan?
yeah. Obviously, it was a missed opportunity, but Abby, like, chime in here if you want. But I just feel like the difference between Australia's bowling and England's bowling is that if you look back at it, England bowled so many short and wide deliveries. I don't know whether that's just because, you know, it's just all pace bowling. I don't know whether it's because there's more inexperience or whether they're being told to do it. But they bowled so much like short and wide crap. I'm gonna say.
Bryden Cass.
Yeah, it was
That
like
one player
it
that
was.
springs to mind.
Look, look, they didn't bowl badly. I thought Josh Tong bowled pretty well. Archer was obviously the standout and has been a standout for England. Cast bowled decently at times, but it's good. It's so easy for players to get away if you just bowl short and wide, and they're just able to cut the ball or pull it. And it was, even though they were 4 wickets down, you still felt like they could get a partnership because England were just so far off it with the ball. In terms of they caused problems when they pitched it up, but like they bowled so many short deliveries, it was like it's just too easy. It's way too easy.
Yeah, Arby, just on the Australian front, how crucial was it that partnership between Khawaja and Alex Carey to get the Australia innings back up and running?
Obviously, it was massive in the context of the game later on, and Alex Carey, I think, has been going under the radar for a few series now, and I think this innings basically sort of had a lot of people stand up and go, "Oh, you know what? This guy's actually really, really good, and he's really solid, not only with the gloves, but also with the bat." And I think that partnership just sort of like, it's called. I think they sort of battered England out of that particular innings. I think even maybe even out of the game. I think it was a very important partnership, and then obviously we saw what happened with the when England got the bat later on. So
Abby, quick
Yeah,
question: do you think he's better than Pant right now?
Alex Carey,
Yeah.
right now, no.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I mean,
I
He's got the stats to back it up. He's actually got the most
yeah,
runs for
definitely.
Australia in the calendar year.
Yeah.
And yeah, say even with the gloves as well. I mean, the fact he's coming up to the stumps when the likes of Boland and Cummins are bowling, and yeah, his all round game this year in particular, he's just been exceptional, and I could see him being in like the Test team of the year if they announced that
100%.
for this year.
100%.
He'd be one of the main keeper options there as well. But Australia, they do end up getting to 371, which honestly, just looking at the pitch, it's probably around par to be honest, because how flat the pitch was and how much like little with the sun shining as well. Um, in a way, it's sort of mixed because England they had them at 94 for four, but then they get to 371. So how disappointed would they be with
But
that?
but again, why did Australia get to 371? Mitch Stark again, another
Oh,
50. Every single time he's just getting England. You know, the first couple of tests he got it with the ball. Now he's doing it with the bat. He's batting better than England's top order batting, and as well as that, he's bowling better than anyone in the series. Like I said it last, he is the everlasting problem right now for England, and England batsmen probably having, or just players just having nightmares about him. I think like they're not gonna be able to sleep with
yeah,
how much stock is like destroying them. It's
And Ben Stokes definitely is because he has to bowl at him and bat against him. So I mean, that can't
I
be
think
pleasant.
I think Stokes gets out the same way each time to him. Just
yeah,
nips it back, and then hits the stumps, and then Stokes like again acted like and then he had cramp, batted another 5 hours, then got out, and then looked like he wanted to absolutely kill Mitchell Stark after he got him out. But I'm not surprised with the amount of times he gets it. It's the
yeah.
same way each time.
Yeah, I mean, there was a theme. I mean, the English bowlers, they struggle bowling to left-handers. I mean, the amount of times I
Yeah,
saw the likes of Carson Tong going over the wicket, then around the wicket, just
yeah,
trying to
exactly.
find anything. Maybe the pitch was something to do with that, given that there wasn't much assistant the first couple of days. But, I mean, throughout the test, we've seen like the likes of Carey, Head. I mean, they've been standout performers in terms of about the three tests. But just, Abby, on an English bowling front, how much have they struggled potentially not even having a left arm pacer in the squad, or how much have they struggled with terms of the right arm pacers struggling against the left hand batters of Australia?
Honestly, I think for them, it's just been a bowling issue all round, hasn't it? Like, it's
Yeah,
just the bowlers aren't able to do the job. That puts even more pressure on their batsmen, and then their batsmen are under pressure. They think that, okay, where do we go from here? They try to build, but then obviously, baseball, we all know how that plays out. I think yeah, but obviously since you've raised the issue, I think it just has been that sort of the lack of a left arm, the lack of a left arm fast bowler, which I think a lot of teams in international cricket at this point in time are facing. I think, but I do think that for England, it's just a broader problem when it comes to bowling. No one's able to back Jofra Archer up because Archer up front is doing such a wonderful job, and then you come and bowl short and wide on a pitch that is doing absolutely nothing to players like Travis Head, who love width. Basically, he's gonna cut anything you give him. So I mean, yeah, I think it was a really poor performance from England with the ball.
main problem with England's, especially bowling wise, is the fact that they didn't have a spinner. Where Will Jacks, look, I'm not being funny. Genuinely think about it like this. Will Jacks is a part-time bowler. He's nothing more, nothing less. He's a part-time bowler. He's being trusted to be the main spinner in the most important test match that England have had in the last 3 years. And he's been trusted to be the main spinner on a turning track in Adelaide. Yeah, you saw how good Nathan Lyon was, in them later days bowling for Australia. But yeah, for Will Jacks, it was so much like short and wide deliveries which they were cutting, wide, balls on the legs where they were just sweeping consistently. He just wasn't a threat at all. And in Adelaide, where spin is the most important thing for your spinner to be doing that, but can you blame him? Because I said he's a part-time spinner. He's not a lead spinner.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine Shoaib Bashir probably sat on the sideline, must be
Yeah,
fuming.
think about
Um,
it. Like,
yeah,
they've groomed and nurtured Bashir and molded him into their main spinner for the last 2 years. just for this series to ensure, and a lot of Australia left-handers just for this series to mould him into that spinner, and then you just drop him, and it's like, yeah, sorry, he might play the last two Test matches, and it'd be like, oh yeah, at least you played two Test matches. He didn't play the three most important ones.
Yeah.
It's not good enough. Not good
Yeah,
enough.
as Abby mentioned, the bowling generally. I mean, given the fact Adelaide, it's sort of shorter square boundaries and longer boundaries to long on, long off as well. So, and yeah, just the lines they're ball, even the spinners, the Jax's lines, like just to the legs. And when they had Australia under pressure, get 94 for four, and then Jax came on. Like I say, Kawaja, Carey, they were just able to knock him round,
It
and
was
that's how they got the
so easy.
partnership. And
So,
yeah, and we saw Nathan Lyon how impactful he was when he came on to bowl. But yeah, just moving on to the England first innings. I mean, the top four. I know Root got his 100 finally in Brisbane, but it's just been a theme of just how poor they've been and the amount of hype that's gone in before the series. That the Bazball. I mean, Duckett, Root, Pope, Crawley. I mean, these guys, they can take games away from opposition, and for the most part, they just haven't performed. I mean, how much of a struggle has it been for the English openers?
I mean, the English openers, I think it's just England's batting over the last couple of years. I tell you what, baseball as a concept sounds great, but at this point, it just seems like a sort of we can't bat, so we won't bat. We'll just try to bat however we want to. But then it's not how it works. You can't go to Australia and be slogging from ball one. You can't play Mitchell Stark like that. You can't play Patrick Cummins like that. It's just it just seems like they've sort of it seems a bit gimmicky now, to be honest, this whole
yeah,
baseball thing. They try to do it when it's not necessary, you know. I think that's why I think Stokes has been good this series because I think he's starting to see a bit of light that, this is
yeah.
not what Test cricket is about. It's about patience. It's about building your innings, which is so England have basically thrown everything that Test cricket stands for out the window and gone, we're gonna play attacking cricket. Did it successfully for about 6 months, and here we are now. So I
I mean,
don't know. I think
they completely threw their wickets away. Ollie Pope's dismissal in the first innings was shambolic. That's one of the worst wickets I've ever seen somebody do. Like, you come into bat, you've just lost a wicket, you're number three, you've got a chance, to build your confidence up, get the ball away just a little bit, nurgle a few ones and twos, stay in, have some confidence. To chip it to mid wicket the way he did, it's the softest dismissal ever. It was so bad. It was honestly, I got annoyed watching it. I was like, that's not what your number three should be doing in Test cricket. It was a horrendous dismissal, and the others, they threw their wickets away as well. It's not good enough.
Yeah, and with the poor starts of the English batters, like Abby mentioned, it creates pressure. The likes of Stokes,
Yeah,
Jamie Smith, Will Jacks even coming in as well. So, yeah, I think Abby hit the nail on the head with Stokes. Like, he found that template that, given that it's a slow pitch in Adelaide, you want to sort of grind and sort of wear the bowlers out because Cummins has just come back off injury, and obviously Lyons just come back as well. So you want to sort of just be there, just be bat for a day, and we'll get to England's second innings as well because it was the same thing where the top order failed, and then obviously it's on the likes of Stokes, and then the final day with Jackson Smith as well. So just the approach and the mentality. I don't know if it's Brendan McCullum or the coaching staff that just instill this that you've got to go for it, you've got to go for it, and it's like they're not setting themselves up to survive.
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
Abby, go
So
ahead.
sorry. So personally, I just feel that from a coaching and a captaincy point of view, they feel like they're in too deep with this whole baseball thing. They feel like they've basically said this is the brand of cricket that we want to play, that now they're afraid to go back. So now they're just owning it, like, yeah, this is what we do. When in reality, now I think they're slowly starting to realize that, this is not this was never going to be sustainable in Test cricket,
Yeah,
right? Teams were never going to start with, like having four players on the boundary in the deep, but now I think, everyone knows what they're going to do, and yeah, basically play the first 10 overs out and then um slog till we get out. So yeah,
but
I think
again,
it's just
yeah, I
go on.
think coaching's again been a problem just for the fact that they've instilled this, and clearly you can sense that some batters want to kind of maybe change, but they don't know whether they want to, you know, do it just in case about their position and stuff. You saw the way Ben Duckett got out in the second innings. You know, that's not like an aggressive like cut shot. That's not a defensive shot. That's just somebody who's just he doesn't know what to do in that situation, whether to play the ball or leave it, and he just just fends it outside off stump, and it was a soft dismissal
Yeah,
again.
it was a really tentative shot. Yeah,
Exactly. And then, yeah, the way Harry Brook got out in the second innings, as a coach, that takes 25 years off your life as a coach. The way that happened, it was like, I've never seen anyone hit a reverse sweep ever when they expose all three of their stumps while they play the reverse sweep.
Yeah, and
Like-
it's the fact that he was settled as well, and
Exactly.
it's such a stupid shot. I'm sorry, but it's like
Exactly. And then
So go-
I heard him saying after the second test match, the two shots he played in the first two were really bad, and he's working on not playing those kind of shots again. What's there to work on? Just say, okay, I'm not going to play that shot. I'm not going to do this. I'm not just going to throw my wicket away. He is the one player that we thought would be the real difference maker for England in this Ashes series. And he's gotten off to starts, but the reason why they're 3-0 down in the Ashes, and a lot of players have got off to starts, the reason why you're 3-0 down is because that's all they are, starts. They're not going on. They're not making big scores. That's why, batting-wise, again, they've been so far off it. And realistically, I feel like England's batters have essentially just given Australia this Ashes. Like, I don't think Australia have necessarily worked that hard for it. England's batters are basically just saying, like, yeah, here you go. We'll see you in 2 years for the next Ashes at home, and we'll see what we can do there. Like, it's not been anywhere near what we expected. Nowhere near.
Yeah, and then obviously the batter that's been the difference for Australia is Travis Head. I mean,
Yeah.
given that it was at his home ground in Adelaide, and what was it, 100 and... I'll get it
170,
here.
170.
170, yeah, 170. Just, if England were already dead and buried, that sort of sealed it. Like, even before England came out to bat for the chase.
But again, do you see Travis Head playing like reverse sweeps and
No.
scoop shots and those kind of... No, you don't.
Yeah, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's control chaos. It's the way
Exactly.
he plays. He picks out the bad balls. He defends the good balls, and that's the template for batting aggressively in Test cricket.
Exactly.
It shouldn't just be playing erratic like Brook did, like Duckett did. So
Exactly.
they could learn from Travis Head, can't they, Abby?
I think they can learn from Australia, because I think what Australia have been able to not master, but what Australia have shown in the series is they have that balance between attack and defense, right? It's what England have not been able to show. England have just gone all out attack from the start, which is never going to end well. They have players like Jamie Smith who attack and attack well. They have players like Harry Brook. Obviously, again, it hasn't worked out as much so far in this series. But when he can attack, he attacks well. But then they also have players like Ben Stokes and Joe Root who can grind it out, who can play those tough innings. But then it's just that they've gone that no, every batsman has to come in and basically be aggressive. You don't have to set that pressure. You don't have to say that they have to do this. I think they need to have a bit of balance in their squad. That's essentially.
Again, I look at like decision making as well in key situations. Like Jamie Smith on the final day, I know he batted well, obviously, but he hit quite a few boundaries already in that over, and he was scoring runs quite quickly. You don't have to go after every single ball. For bowlers like Mitch Stark, like if a batsman's doing that, it's like, okay, yeah, just it won't be long before he hits one up in the air like he did. I know Crawley played very well on day 4, but even the way he got out, he kind of just went all in on the cover drive and then just, thought it was out his crease and it was an easy stumping. You don't have to play these expansive shots all the time. And when you get off to good starts like Crawley and Jamie Smith did, and you score runs quite quickly, there's always time to just consolidate and say, okay, let's just wait. Let's just, be patient for a bit more. Let's not go after everything. And let's stay in and let's make a really big score. Because these England batsmen are more than good enough to make big scores in Australia. But they're just getting off to starts and then they're just getting out.
Yeah, I like how you brought up that Jamie Smith dismissal, because there's still plenty of time left on that final day, and he hit back-to-back boundaries to Stark, and then he goes for like a hook sort of pull shot, and then gets caught by Captain Pat Cummins, and then even when they were scoring and obviously knocking the Australian balls around, you just know just the way they play. There's going to be a mistake. There's going to be the closer it got to the target, you still thought that Australia were gonna come back and get the wickets they needed, because it's just
Yeah.
the erratic nature of England. I mean, I guess the one positive for England was in Australia's second innings when Carey got out. They cleaned up the tail, and you'd think, riding on that momentum, they would eventually start off well with the bat, and Crawley did, but the rest didn't, and then it sort of set up that erratic nature.
Yeah,
Abby,
I
you
mean,
wanna?
435 was always going to be a very difficult task, especially given, obviously, as we've spoken at length about the way that England bat, but also the way that Stark has been bowling, because I think Australia have done a decent job. I think Australia have done a decent job of being able to mop that tail up, but they weren't necessarily as good with it in this particular match. I feel like I feel like this particular pitch was was everything that England would have wanted, right? I
Exactly.
think
Yeah.
all England had to do was wait for the game to come to them. They didn't have to do much. They just had to make sure that the bowling held its own, not do anything too crazy. Guess what? They did something. I mean, bowling short and wide to Travis Head. So, and I mean, I don't know. I think it's a real missed opportunity with this particular test match when it comes to England.
Yeah, and I think me and Dejan were saying England are best suited when chasing, and they finally got to do that. And it's like I mentioned, it's just moments. And Australia, they weren't at their best in terms, apart from Head, Kawaja, and Carey. The other batters didn't really show up, to be honest, apart from Mitchell Stark in the first innings. But like I said, they were to be able to get. They were like you could get at them, like we've been saying. But like I say, it's just not been enough.
Nowhere near enough. Nowhere near
Yeah,
enough. I mean, at least they showed a bit of fight on day 5. They got close, but that's what happens when you have players that stay in. You stay because, as I said, the more they're good enough to hit boundaries consistently. I get that, but you hit a lot of boundaries, and you keep going for it. Sooner or later, you're going to get out. It's that simple. It's all well and good doing it in England, where you've been able to hit bowlers like Prasad Krishna and Shardul Thakur, when realistically that's not that difficult anyway. But if you go to like Australia on a flat wicket, you get a good start, so you have to stay in. You have to. It's that simple. You can't just get good starts and say, you know what, I'm going to carry on and I'm going to get out. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, with the Boxing Day test around the corner, I mean, it's like with the series over now. Do you take a punt and drop one of the players? I know Pope and Duckett will probably be the main victims if there is to be a change. But given the fact that it is 3-0 down, do you see England making a change to that top seven, Abby?
I think they do. I think we'll see a lot of changes, a lot of experiments. Maybe not for the Boxing Day test, maybe for that final test,
Okay.
because the Boxing Day test is still an occasion. I mean, that
Yeah, absolutely.
MCG, it's going to be sold out. We know everything that goes on there. I hope that England do experiment a bit with their squad now. They experiment with their strategy and their tactics a bit more, because you look at that team and you look at some of the names and you're like, there's so much potential here. Why is
Yeah.
this team not performing? As much as I like to say negative things about baseball and about the English cricket team, they're full of talent, and it always hurts as a fan to see all that talent go to waste. So I do hope that they experiment a lot more, and yeah, I just hope that we see better cricket from them in these last two test matches.
Abby,
But
do you think
yeah,
it could be a? Do you think it could be a 5-0?
if you don't remember, I called a 5-0 when we spoke about it for the first time. When we were
Did
sat
you?
in your house, actually. I did say
Really?
Australia gonna win 5-0. I said it as a joke, but
Oh yeah. Okay.
who's listening? Yeah.
Well, I
I
said
mean,
I
did
said I thought England would win.
yeah,
I said I thought England would
yeah.
win.
I mean, that's long gone now, isn't it? But Dejan, I know we were meant to talk about Jacob Bethel potentially being an option to replace one
Yeah.
of the top seven. There was also talk of potentially Ollie Pope, if he does stay in the team, moving down to number 6, stay number 3, and then Jacob Bethel going up to number 3, or sort of a reshuffling of the batting order. I mean, given the fact that obviously they can't really gain anything. I know Abby said the MCG is a big occasion, but I don't see why not give someone like Jacob Bethel 2 tests. Maybe they could find something going out of the series and into future tests for next summer. So where do you stand in terms of sort of the selection?
Yeah, maybe they could go with Bethel, but two things on that. If you're going to bring him in, don't put the weight of the world on his shoulders straight away and say, you're going to have to help us here. You're going to have to save us here. And
Yeah,
two, don't have him bat the way that everyone else is batting. Like, let him have the time to build it up. You know, he's got serious talent with the bat. We know that, but he's a very mature cricketer. You don't want to just flush that down the drain for these last two Test matches by saying, yeah, you know what, just bat the way everyone else is. I mean, realistically, after the shot that Ollie Pope played, and some of the shots that he's played, some of the ways he's got out, just put him on a plane right now, like Qantas plane back to England, and say, yeah, you know what, just go. Like, that guy shouldn't. The way he's getting out of stuff, he shouldn't be anywhere near that team. The way it's just not good enough from him to be your number three as well. Your number three is usually a position where they stay in, they work hard, they grind, they knuckle down, and then he's playing shots. He's playing the most erratic shots, and he's looking so uncomfortable out there in the middle. So, yeah, I think Ollie Pope should be dropped. But if Bethel comes in, don't put too much expectation on him straight away. It's only two Test matches and it's done. Just say to him, just go out and play your game.
yeah. I think what's fascinating is that Pope isn't actually England's lowest run score. It's actually Ben Duckett, which he's
Yeah,
probably been even more disappointing because he's sort of that counterpart to Travis Head, with Travis Head going to open, that sort of
yeah.
left-hander who could sort of score quickly and play aggressively as well. So I would have dropped Duckett because it's like we don't have many openers to back him up anyway. So I mean, just how poor have Duckett and Pope been, Abby?
I mean, I think Duckett is one of those batsmen who I actually like the way he bats when he bats well. I'm not a fan of Crawley. I think he's a massive. He's even more inconsistent than Ben Duckett is. Um, Ollie Pope, I mean, I think it's a very similar thing with as it is with Khwaja, with Khawaja. I think it's the same thing with Pope. He scored that 100 against India and Headingley, and that seems to have given him another 5 years of Test match cricket for some reason. You know, like it's just like that with him. He'll not perform for about a year and a half. All the critics will be like, "Oh, Ollie Pope has to go." Comes and scores 100. All the critics are like, "Yeah, you know what? I guess he's all right." And it's a cycle with him. And I think England need to break out of that chain and be like, "No, Ollie, you're out. We're bringing in a replacement." Jacob Battle, obviously young, very good player, can give you a few overs with the ball as well. I think, yeah, he might be a very fresh option, but I think Duckett definitely deserves a few more opportunities because he definitely has that potential to be much better than what he's doing right now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
just
That's one thing they can't do as well. If Bethel comes in, and it's like right, it's going to be Bethel and Jacks to be our two main bowlers now,
oh
two main
gosh,
spin bowlers,
yeah,
bowling from both ends, part-time bowlers.
yeah.
10 overs each. Economy rates are about 9.5 each.
Yeah, it's like when they're waiting for the new ball, like 65, 70 overs, and then it's
Yeah,
like, oh gosh, and then Australia
yeah,
just end up scoring big. But I'm just going to come on to that actually. I mean, in terms of the bowling options, I mean, we've seen Jofra Archer play 3 tests in a row, and given that
yeah.
this is the shortest gap between the third and the fourth test, could we see him rested? I know, in terms of any chance of England winning, you don't want to drop him, but could we see him be dropped?
I mean, realistically, the series is done. So it's like, Archer's one of those bowlers. I feel one of those players that I feel like can hold his head high for the way he's played. I think he's done the best he can
Yeah,
with the limited kind of options he's had around him. So I think realistically, Archer probably will get dropped. But I mean, the series is done, so it doesn't really mean anything. Who comes in now? Probably Atkinson comes back in. You'll probably drop another, maybe like a Bryden Cars for a spinner, depending on
yeah.
the way Melbourne is. But it doesn't. They made. It's a bit late to make changes. It's a bit late to make the changes now because, what's the point? Seriously.
I mean, to be fair, they're 3-0 down, and honestly, a 5-0 isn't looking as unlikely. I think
Yeah.
they need to put their best foot forward. They need to make sure this is not a 5-0 because a 5-0 defeat to Australia in the Ashes is going to be a very difficult one to forget in the near future. So I think they need to make this 3-2.
But I don't think.
Otherwise,
I don't think it's necessarily the bowler's fault that it's 3-2. Obviously, the bowlers can do better, but I feel like it's mainly just down to the fact that the batsmen are essentially just giving Australia wickets.
Yeah, the top three is just not it at the minute.
No,
I think.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think if there is one pacer you do drop, it's probably Cars. Because I feel Atkinson, he bowls a more consistent line and length, whereas Cars
Yeah.
tends to spray. And I was really impressed with Josh Tong. And I think that Lions game that he played, that's helped because he's had that practice in sort of non-competitive action, and he's brought that forward. And he bowls a lot fuller, I thought, but I think you need that. You want to sort of likes of Kawaja, Carey, who like to stay in their crease and then rely on their back foot and on the bounce as well. So he did well to sort of entice. And you got to remember, Kawaja was dropped on five, I think it was, before he ended up scoring a half century.
I
So
mean, England
on
dropped.
another day, like I said, English bowlers, like you mentioned, Dejan, they did all they can. And on another day, I mean, it could be 2-1 right now, but
Realistically, England's fielding has been really poor in this
oh yeah, yeah,
and the
that's not
last Test
helped.
match. I mean, fielding usually is kind of like the barometer of what your team is like. You saw Australia, you saw Marnus, some of the catches he's taken. You
yeah.
know, when a team's like fully on it and everyone's ready, and they take catches like that, it means your team is usually in a good place. England's the way their fielding has been, it just looks like they've just taken the foot off the gas and just yeah, giving Australia every chance to win the Ashes, and that's what they've done.
Yeah, I mean, Marnus Labuschagne, the catches he's been taking, I mean, he's showing up
Yeah,
for the English fielders. And you go back to, I think it's the day night test in Brisbane, the drops of Duckett and Jamie Smith as keeper as
yeah.
well. I mean, they're inexcusable. And like I said, it's been a series of moments, and that's been the difference. But just on the lineup, I mean, I know you want to play your best team, but like I say, we could see some shake-ups. I mean, the obvious ones you want to see is probably Shoaib Bashir potentially coming in, maybe for Jacks, and then maybe Bethel coming in for Pope, and then you probably want to keep Archer, and then Gus Atkinson coming in for Bryden Carr. So would that sort of be the changes that you'd be happy with? That would give England the best chance at winning in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's probably the combination that they would want to go with because clearly the combination that they're currently using is not working at all.
Yeah.
So I mean not at all, but it's not worked for them so far this series. So I think they're definitely going to look to mix it up a bit while obviously giving themselves the best chance at least saving face and making this a 3-2 or a 3-1.
Yeah,
So
true. I agree with that, but again, you're going to have to manage a lot of players as well. That's going to be the issue. Is Archer going to be able to play 4 Test matches in a row? Like that's going to be a big question. Is Cast going to be able to play 4 Test matches in a row? Do you stick? Jack's played pretty well on day 5. Do you stick with him as a batsman, or are you putting him? Do you just dropping him straight away for Bashir? It's going to be a problem in terms of selection, but as I said, if they're going to want to save face, they're going to have to get the selection right. They have to get the combinations right.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with Jasprit Bumrah. I mean, I remember last year there was he didn't end up playing the fifth test, I think it was, and then in the England India series there was he didn't play the third and the fifth. I can't remember to be
Second and
honest.
fifth, second and
Second
fifth,
and
second
fifth,
and
that
fifth.
was one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when it is like your lead bowler, how hard is it for their side to leave them out, and how can they adapt? I mean, I know India ended up winning the second and fifth tests in England,
um,
but how hard is it? Would it be for England leaving Jofra Archer out?
I think just the way that this series is played out with Archer, being on it from ball one, and it's been a story of no one's really been able to back up Archer that well. I think he's going to be a big miss if they have to leave him out. I think, but as Dejan said, it might be smarter to leave him out because obviously the series is done. They're not going to win it. There's no way they can win the series now. And obviously the T20 World Cup coming up, and obviously a lot of cricket to play throughout the next year. Just give Archer a rest now. Maybe, make sure because he has been injury prone in the past. It's not like this isn't something that would be surprising to anyone if he is left out to preserve him a bit. But yeah, as you asked, I think it's a difficult situation to be in, and it's an even more difficult situation to be in when someone like a Mark Wood is out as well. So you don't have like obviously Bumrah was out for India, but then we did have Siraj, who was also there. So that's sort of someone to rely on. I think England really would be looking at someone like an Atkinson or someone like if Cars continues to play at Cars and Tongue and being like, yeah, one of you need to step up if we leave Jofra out. So I think it's just going to be a question of who steps up when Archer, steps aside for a bit, if he does.
Yeah, I mean, India got lucky in them two Test matches because Akashdeep took 10 wickets in the second one, and then Siraj took 9 wickets
Yeah.
in the fifth one. So we got lucky with that. But right now, it just feels like I know they bowled well at times, but it feels like in England's bowling, it's been Jofra Archer, and then pretty much everyone else. Like he's not. I don't know if it's hard to say if he's carried the bowling on his shoulders, but like he's just been by far and away the best bowler. And other bowlers are going to have to step up massively, like your Atkinsons and your and your Tongs, if they play in the next test and Archer doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, they could have been better, but I think just the how poorly the batting's been, it's sort of skewed how much effort the bowlers have actually put. And it's nice to see Jofra Archer. Obviously, he's had so many injury issues, and the fact he's played 3 tests in a row in itself is great. And him bowling at the pace he's been as well, it's not like he's had a pace drop off the times he's come back from injury. So, yeah, fair play to him. But just moving on to the Australian squad, despite the win and winning the Ashes, they've actually got 2 injury concerns. Nathan Lyon, who pulled up with his hamstring on that final day, and then Pat Cummins recently coming out and saying because of his workload, he probably won't play in the Boxing Day tests. I mean, to come forward as captain and to make that bold, I mean, it just shows the amount of clarity and the trust they have in the squad players or the players who wouldn't be regularly starting. I mean, the likes of Michael Neser or Brendan Doggett, who played in the opening 2 tests. I mean, given the fact that Cummins and Lyon were standout performers in the last test in Adelaide, I mean, how important is it for them to sort of have that reliance and that trust they have on the other pacers who are not regularly featured in the squad, Dejan?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, it's there's definitely a trust there in terms of if someone comes out, is that okay? It's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, they missed Pat Cummins for the first 2 tests as well, but they
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of just like they kind of just like rolled the sleeves up and said, all right, let's just get on with it. They're missing Hazelwood for this whole series,
I
but
mean,
they've got
Mitchell Stark happened in the first 2 tests.
true, but they've got options as well. I mean, Nisa came in, took 5 in the second test. Doggett bowled really well in the first test. So there's definitely trust there, and there's definitely a belief of okay, even if players are missing, let's just roll our sleeves up and let's just do our job. And that was the thing at the start of the series as well. It feels like selection wise, it was so much more difficult for Australia selection wise as opposed to England. But Australia have kind of just dug deep and said, okay, it is what it is. Let's just keep playing. Whereas England have just been like, I don't know. It's hard to describe how England have performed. It's just been like, okay, we've just lost, and it's just been really bad all round.
Have it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when you look at the selections of both sides, I mean, I think England have definitely had more of their top players at their disposal than Australia have, because obviously starting without Cummins and Hazelwood in your bowling lineup has to be difficult going into the first test of such a big series. You're without two of your best bowlers, and I think with Nathan Lyon, it's just been that kind of a few months for him where he's not had that cemented spot in the 11 that he's had over the last maybe like 10 or so years. And I think this injury kind of puts him in a very tricky situation now moving forward, and his future in Test cricket I think, is very much under question now. But I think Pat Cummins is going to get some nice rest for these next two matches, and hopefully we see him back in the T20 World Cup and the IPL after that.
Yeah, I mean, we saw when Nathan Lyon was dropped, they went all out with pace attack. I'm not sure who their backup spinner is. I know Todd Murphy's played. They've got Matthew Kuhneman as well. I don't know if they'll bring in a specialist spinner or go with what England did and have sort of like maybe have Labuschagne bowl a bit of spin, Head bowl a bit of spin. Probably not, as in not having a frontline spinner. So, do you see Australia bringing a like for like replacement spinner or going for the all round approach?
I mean, Travis Head bowled pretty well. To be fair,
Yeah, yeah, better
he
than
actually
Jazz,
bowled
to be
pretty
fair.
well. Yeah, that wouldn't have been that difficult to be fair. But uh, it's weird spin wise. Like for Australia, it feels like if it's not Nathan Lyon, there's not many options I can
Exactly.
think of.
Yeah,
But maybe Kuhneman, maybe, or as I said, like a Todd Murphy who's
yeah.
played
Because
quite
I know
okay.
Tom Murphy's with the Melbourne Renegades in the BBL. in the
Yeah,
Big Bash. So it might just be he just have to get the baggy green on and go to Melbourne. So
yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting.
It's going to depend on
Yeah.
what the pitch is like though, in
Yeah,
Melbourne, obviously.
I don't see it being as flat as Adelaide. I don't know about you, Abby, but I think Melbourne historically has sort of been another fast haven for fast bowlers and swing bowlers.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a fast pitch, especially if like if they are going to go with someone like a Neezer again or a Doggett to sort of try to train them on those sort of pitches because now it's now it's basically for Australia it's about trying to bring in a new talent. I think they're going to be the team that are going to experiment with their 11 more than what England will do because for them it's like we've wrapped the series up. What more do we want to do?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one out of form player. Oh, I mean, there's not many, but it's probably Cameron Green. He's not lived up to sort of the Ashes hype. I know he's another one that's coming off back of injury and he's just starting to get into the back of things. But there is a potential replacement lineup for him in Bo Webster. I mean, I thought he had an excellent series against India and then in the West Indies in the Caribbean as well last in June this year. So could we see, like I said, it could, as Abby mentioned, we could see Australia experiment. Could we see Bo Webster sort of be that fast bowling all round replacement for Cameron Green as well?
Maybe the only as I said, yeah, Cam Green's not been in the best of form right now with the bat, but with the ball, I feel like he's done okay, which is I think a bit different to Bo Webster. I feel like Bo Webster's more of a batsman who like bowls a bit, whereas Cam Green's like a genuine all rounder. So it's hard because Bo Webster's actually you said he's done well, but I feel like Cam Green deserves to have that position just for the rest of the series. You know, as I said, it's his first first set of tests in a long time. Ease him back into it a bit. You know, give him quite a few games to just build his confidence back up again.
And I mean, to be fair, they've not given him a stable batting position for a while now
That's
because
true. That's true.
he was doing well at that number six position, and suddenly they're like, no, you're gonna play at number three, and now he's like, no, maybe five or four. So
Yeah.
I think if they give him a stable batting position, he's a wonderful batsman. So yeah, that should do it for him. But then I'm not the Australian coach, so
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he himself even said he's had desires to play up the order, but it's hard because I know Steve Smith will probably come back in test because I know it was a minor injury that saw him miss the whole test. But I mean, what happens there? Do you stick with Kawaja? Like, does Kawaja go back to opening and you drop Weatherald, or do you keep Weatherald? Put Kawaja at five now, or it's tough because I think what Australia will do with Kawaja, I think this will potentially like a farewell tour, like for the rest of the series, where they'll just play him out of like, okay, let's just see what he can do. But then who misses out because you'd want to bring Smith back in.
I think
Um,
it'll. Yeah, I think it'll most likely be Inglis that will get dropped, and
oh
then
yeah, I forgot about
Kawaja
Inglis. Yeah,
Kawaja will go to five,
yeah,
and then Cam Green six, and then Carey seven. That's what I think.
yeah. I think the head Weatherall partnership. It's been like the most unlikeliest. Like
Yeah,
we didn't know it'd work, but it's worked. And fair play to them. Fair play to both of them, really, and the way they've stepped up.
yeah. Well, it's got to be good opening alongside Travis Head because he just goes for it, and it gives you more. It just gives you time to just build your innings and build your confidence. So it's got to be. It's always got to be good opening alongside him.
Yeah, I mean the fact that Australia they've overcame that adversity in terms of injuries and selection and whatnot. I mean, you're always going to be under pressure given that it's a home series and that England supposedly look their best, but they have been far from the best. But the less said about that, the better. But yeah, I think the way this Australian team have gone about things, it's just been incredible to watch, and the way they perform. Yeah, like I know you asked Albie the question, but I could just see it being 5-0. I think
Really,
yeah, I mean, I want to
really.
know what you guys think, but I just think the English head they just drop. Like knowing that the series is lost. I mean, I'll be. I know you did say 5-0, but can we see a fight back from England? Can we see like? Can we see England just like push it all the way? I know they did in Adelaide, but can they do it whilst being on the front foot and playing in their way?
I mean, it depends. Maybe now they play like a team that has nothing to lose. Maybe now they play with that everyone expects them to go down now because now everyone's like, oh, Australia's definitely clean sweeping this. So now Stokes goes up to his men and goes, you know what? Just go out there, express yourselves. We've seen this in the past with test teams before. But then again, test matches are played over 5 days. It's a long time to keep expressing yourself for. A lot of moments to win. So I guess time will tell. But I still do think it'll be like a maybe like a 3-1, 4-1 series. But
That might just force them to play more baseball if this expresses yourself.
Literally. Yeah, like I say,
But
I don't see there being a draw. Like,
but there could be I see there being a draw,
oh,
especially
potentially weather. I don't know much
exactly.
of the
Yeah,
forecast, but
I think for the sake of the England fans, I'm going to say there'll at least be a draw. Just the way they play the batting. I don't see them unless they change the way they bat. I don't see them getting a win.
yeah,
If you just don't if you keep getting starts and getting out, you're never going to win the game. It's just
yeah.
that simple.
I think because there's so much emphasis on like a Crawley and a Root, I'm just ignoring Pope and Duckett because they've just been awful. But
Yeah.
watch that prove me wrong. But there's so much emphasis on like a Crawley and a Root in particular to get off to a start.
Yeah.
Like with Root getting his 100 and then them being in an advantageous position after the first innings in Brisbane, because you know what you're going to get with Stokes from the bat. And then obviously the lower order, I think they've improved each game, the likes of Smith and Jack. So as Abby said, like I said, 5 days is a long time. Innings itself can be a long time. It could be over a day. But they just have to pick their moments. And just the way this play and this style, I just don't think it's sustainable. So for me, yeah, I'm going 5-0.
Okay, that's from an England fan going 5-0.
It's just,
That's not good. That's not good.
I'm
Not a
always
good sign.
pessimistic. I'm always pessimistic. But I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just trying to think. So Mitchell Stark, he didn't have the most impressive test compared to the first two tests. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I do feel like with Cummins out, he can sort of be up and perform again because he had Cummins and Boland in the last test to sort of not bail him out, but sort of perform when Stark wasn't at his best. I mean, do you see Stark coming back to the fray again?
Abby, you want to answer that or?
well, I mean, most definitely. I think he's definitely, there's something about him in this series. It's just he's looked different. He's looked like he wants wickets more than he ever has, you know? And I think these last two test match he's gonna go for it. He's gonna go for it. He's gonna bowl it, maybe just that he's going to bowl it up. He's going to try to swing the ball both ways, and he knows that England, being the team that they are at the minute, they're gonna bite, they're gonna drive, they're gonna edge, and Labuschagne, Smith, Khawaja are there to pick it up for him, and so is
Sure.
Alex Carey. I think Stark is gonna really try to up his wicket tally in these last two test matches.
I think it's high enough right now as wicket tally. I think it's high enough.
He could use a bit of a
He
Yeah,
could use a bit more. He could use a bit more.
yeah. I mean, given the age, I mean, Australia as a whole, their squad is like it's an aging squad, and as Abby mentioned, a couple of years they might have to begin that transition into younger talent. So yeah, I mean, they're all just it's like they're enjoying themselves out there, the Australian players. I mean, like they know these conditions, they know these pitches off the back of their head, and they're just playing with freedom, which I think England are doing too much for playing with too much freedom, and not being cautious. But Australia, they just have that balance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for the latest episode of the Six and Out podcast, powered by Sports News Blitz. Be sure to check out all of our socials and be sure to check out our website, Sports News Blitz. Once again, thank you to Dejan and our special guest RB for joining us, and we'll be back with another episode.